your rising sign is really important in astrology, especially for business, because it's your outer mask. It's your personality. You do your rising sign every day, and people even can see that often more than your sun sign. Your rising sign is very important for your branding because it's like who people see you as. So it's very different to brand yourself if you're kind of Gemini wearing many masks, very youthful and playful, versus something like Capricorn, which is much more serious and accountable and responsible and managerial. There's a different approach. It's a different visibility strategy. It's how you would show up in the world. Very different.
Welcome to She Coaches Coaches, the podcast where we have thoughtful, honest conversations about what it really takes to build a thriving coaching business. I'm your host, Candy Motzek, and before building my business, I spent years as a senior corporate leader. Now, today, I work with coaches who are smart, well-trained, and deeply capable, and who want clarity about how to grow in a way that feels aligned and financially sustainable. On this show, I sit down with successful coaches to explore the real decisions behind their success, how they got started, what shifted as they grew, and the mindset and business choices that helped them gain momentum without burning out. Whether you're early in your coaching journey or refining a business you've already built, She Coaches Coaches is here to offer perspective, confidence, and grounded insight to support your next chapter. To learn more about how I work with people, go to my website, stepintosuccessnow.com. And now let's dive in. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the episode. This is She Coaches Coaches, and I am your host, Candy Motzek, and I have a special guest for you. I have Verdé Luce, and after his double lung collapse at the tender age of 17, he committed to seize the day and take the deep dive into life. A traveler to 47 countries, author of 3 books, including Codex of the Soul and Aquarius Dawns, and creator of Divine Timing online school, Verdé Luce uniquely blends systems of self-awareness such as evolutionary astrology, human design, and shamanic therapies into his holistic life and visionary business coaching practice. He teaches entrepreneurs, families, and couples how to honor and integrate their core patterns and archetypes. Through his signature system, the 12 Sacred Relations, Verdé Luce empowers entrepreneurs, families, and couples by helping them strategize the when and the where of life, optimal timing and locational astrology, power places, as well as the who, harmonic relating in both love and business. Welcome to the show. I am so excited for this conversation. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm great. This is an amazing event. Welcome to everyone. And thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
To me about this, the part in your bio that talks about the where, the locational astrology power places.
Yeah, it's also called astrocartography or locational astrology. And, I've traveled to about 47 countries. I started that journey when I was about 20 years old, and I worked on a kibbutz in Israel and then started volunteering and traveling and sold everything when I was 24. And I went to India, Nepal, and Thailand and Cambodia. And I realized I wanted to keep traveling in my life. And once astrology came in, actually was on that trip that it started to inform me of like, wow, this tool is incredible. It's very accurate. It actually can apply to different areas of the world and how we relate to those areas. So, we ask you as astrologers, we ask you your birthplace, but we can actually look at your chart in different places around the world. And so depending on what you want in your life, what your intentions are, there are better and worse places to support those intentions. So if you're, for instance, a retreat leader, there will be places that will support the type of retreat that you're doing. Or there may be certain challenges in a location that you might want to avoid if you're choosing to between a few different locations. If you need to find a new place to live, or if you want to find love and relationship, or move your family around the world. There are, again, these different places that will support you more or less because certain planets are stronger there. And then they represent those qualities or characteristics that you're calling in, or maybe that are really not supportive to what your goals are. So yeah, that's how I choose to travel to where I live. I live nomadically. I've been out of the country, out of the US for a few years, mostly in Europe, but sometimes right now I'm in Central America. And it's a beautiful tool to align yourself with the world and to feel more. Even if you want to like invest in real estate abroad, or find your community in other places. It's just a beautiful tool, and it's a real practical way of using astrology.
I understand how perhaps there is a location that is better for your business venture, like you talked about, maybe your retreat or something like that. But then if that doesn't equal the location that is the strongest for maybe your self-development or your ultimate purpose in life, how do you manage?
Yeah. It's a great question. It's weighing out, what our priorities are, and at certain times in our life. So for instance, if you want to go on a retreat or if you want to lead a retreat, let's say there are definitely these energies that are forecasting or transiting in certain parts of the world at certain times. So for instance, you could have a really expansive and inspiring, optimistic, positive, fortunate Jupiter transit. If Jupiter's in the area of career for a month for you in a part of the world, which, that happens for us always, there's a different place where that would be happening. We can map that out. We can map that out this year, next year, the year after. And that tends to be a place where you will grow, you'll have success, you'll have opportunities, people will help you and support you. That's what Jupiter tends to bring to our life. So you can actually just map that out around the world, and you could really plan around that. There's many factors, but for instance, if you're leading a retreat, you probably don't want a very strong Uranus component because Uranus brings a lot of changes, a lot of surprises, maybe some tech challenges, unexpected energies, radical, last minute changes. So it's not a stable energy, right? Or if you want to move somewhere and you have a strong Uranus energy, that isn't usually going to be supportive to grounding out, building a home, or having a stable. So again, depending on what our intentions are, there's the better and worse places for that. So it depends on the kind of retreat you want to lead as well. If you want to lead a retreat for women, we might want to look when Venus is very strong somewhere for you, the time of life you might be having, and the place in the world where you have strong Venus energy. So both the time and so the cycles and the place, you put them together and you could really find your power places.
Well, that's fun. So I guess the first thing that makes me think is that how you're deciding where to move, where to locate, where to like what's the next place for you? Are you fully using that? Or is there another kind of a curious piece of your brain that says, yeah, but I really want to go to that country?
Been 47 countries now, so it's been a bit of both. One of the cool things that a lot of my clients reflect with the astrolocality or locational astrology is, we all have this intuition, right? That we have certain places that are stronger for us. They have some kind of dharma or spiritual purpose for us. And the astrology, when you apply it, can help reveal specifically more what that is, how you can work with it. And so it can also just help you harmonize with the energies that are there. What's the best version of me in that location? And so I've used it that way, but I've also used it to find places that I never really, they weren't, I've taught and I've led dances and ceremonies and workshops and retreats in Poland, in Warsaw. And I did that 3 different times. And it was never somewhere I was really drawn to. It has been a very successful location for me. Right now I'm in Panama and I'm, working with some retirees who are interested in real estate investment abroad. And I know that this area potentially has a lot of growth for me and a lot of abundance for me. I haven't done it before. I'm taking a risk. I'm jumping out, but I know the system. I know it tends to work. And so I've just said, I'm going to live it. I'm going to live an experimental life with it. I don't have my own children, so I have more freedom to do that. But I know I've worked with a lot and it's becoming a movement on the planet to do things like world schooling. Right? So let's get our kids into experiential education. Where would be the best places to do that? So we might look at planets like Mercury for that. And we want to look at the whole family's chart, right? Or if it's a couple, where would we want to do an anniversary or a honeymoon? We can find the best places for what we're intending with that. So it's just that it applies in so many beautiful areas of life. And I get excited educating people about it because it's been a beautiful tool for me and my clients.
Super interesting. And it's not anything that I've really talked about. I think I've seen the occasional thing about that, but I've never really had a conversation about it. The other piece that I find really interesting is really diving into the human design experiment and understanding more about human design. And tell me a little bit about how you blend those, human design and astrology. I know there's some overlap, but some of it is an evolution. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was an astrologer for about 7 or 8 years before human design came into my life. And I was a little bit skeptical because astrology is universal, it's ancient, it's got all this rich history. Human design was channeled in the mid 80s and then started to be applied around the world. And I had an incredible, first couple sessions and was like, wow, this is like the same me, but a different filter for understanding myself. And it revealed to me things that are very core to me, like being a creative role model or source of inspiration for the world. And I saw it, through this different lens. And I realized, wow, having a few different tools like this is so helpful for clients because different clients need different vocabularies, to navigate themselves and their work in the world. So the beauty of human design is that it's your genetic patterns. It's who you are on this sort of mechanical genetic level. We all have different strengths and contributions, and that's what's defined in your human design. So you have different defined energy centers, these 9 energy centers, like the chakras. Those ones that are defined are certain strengths in you, and there's strengths that are genetic, like I said, through channels of energy, channels, flows of archetypes combined together. So where you're defined is your strengths, and where you're open is where you learn a lot. You get educated. And you can actually, in the language of business with human design, the open areas are where you can actually receive profits and actually become quite wise because you learn through different experiences, through different experiences or people that you meet in your life. So they call those open centers profit potentials. and and it's fascinating, we have energy type and we have an approach to our business based off of our energy type. As a projector, I'm a projector type. We're 20% of the world. We're more advisors and coaches and counselors. We don't have sustaining energy like generators or manifesting generators. Those types need to learn how to use their energy better so that they feel sustained and satisfied at the end of the day, what they've committed to. A lot of times, if a generator or a manifesting generator isn't following their decision making strategy, they end up burning themselves out doing someone else's passion and not their own. And so when I'm working with, those types, I'm helping them really learn how to follow their what we call inner authority, might be their emotional center, which needs time to get clear, get excited, and then get like, oh, I'm not certain about this. But it's not mental, it's actually emotional. The emotions take time to get clear. Some people have a gut response. This is right for me. This isn't right for me. That's called the sacral response. So in design, there are these different inner authorities or inner truths that we get clear on. And in knowing those, you can really feel confident approaching your business. So that's the value I would say of human design is that it's giving you the confidence moving into your business. And then if you're needing to brand yourself, market yourself, there's a different strategy depending on those energy types and all the different parts of your design. So that's why I love helping people. It's like, oh yeah, that resonates for me. That validates what I've always known, but now I can apply it in my business.
And the piece that's interesting to me is where the astrology and the human design where do they come together? Where do they overlap? And it sounds, just from what you've described, like the human design is more about the energy and the processing and the decision making and the connection with your energy, your body, your emotions. And then astrology is a little bit different. Is that captured right, or did I miss it?
No, they really complement each other and they're less different than we think. It's more like a vocabulary that you can apply. So when I'm working with clients, I'm trying to translate both of those tools into real practicality. So for instance, like your rising sign is really important in astrology, especially for business, because it's your outer mask. It's your personality. You do your rising sign every day. And people even can see that often more than your sun sign. Your rising sign is very important for your branding because it's like who people see you as. So it's very different to brand yourself if you're kind of Gemini wearing many masks, very youthful and playful versus something like Capricorn, which is much more serious and accountable and responsible and managerial. There's a different approach. It's a different visibility strategy. It's how you would show up in the world. Very different. So both systems give you they're like different tools on your tool belt. and you can apply them for your marketing or for your client enrollment strategies. Like, should retreats be a part of my business model? Well, we can apply that question astrologically and in your design. Is that a part of what I should create for my business, or maybe I should have a group program versus a one-on-one, offers, VIP day offers. So when I'm working with clients, that's what we looked at those questions, and then we let the charts reflect back to us what is most in alignment, what's easiest, what's most flowing for us. So we're not trying to do it like this coach over here, which they have a different design, they have a different archetypal world that they're living in. And so that's the beauty of combining the two tools together.
I really appreciate that. And I also really appreciate that so much of how business is changing is much more of these small solopreneur, small businesses that are really being created to be in alignment with a person. And yet, we've spent years listening to the bro marketer who says, well, you got to make 100 cold calls a day or you're just not going to be successful. And that probably worked for them, maybe, but it doesn't work for the vast majority of people. And so for us to kind of start leaning into this my way, learning some self trust, working with an advisor such as yourself so that you feel like you've got a guide on the process, I think things are really going to change in business. And that place of business, a meaningful business, a deeply meaningful and profitable business. There's lots of room for that. As we come up to time, can you share with us how can people find out more about you? And do you have a free gift that you would like to offer?
Yeah, I love what you just said, and the free gift is sort of about that. I have on my website, so I have a couple websites, divinetimingcoaching.com. That's my main site. There's a lot of services there, but I have a service called Unleash Your Genius, which is actually a strategy call we can get on. But it's exactly what you said about the individuality of our pioneering spirit really coming through. Like, I believe that the leaders of now, they're not politicians in any way, right? They're the entrepreneurs, the coaches, the healers, the facilitators. So knowing ourselves is so important to know our gifts that we can share. On that site, you'll also see a free gift that you could sign up for, which is 6 ways entrepreneurs can use astrology to grow their business, to save time, to attract their ideal clients. So that's the free gift. Then I have a site dedicated to locational astrology. So it's destination by design consultancy.com. And there's a lot of free videos there, like teaching you about how do I use this for relocation work and what is it?
Wow, so many ways. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciated the conversation.
It's been awesome to share with everyone. I hope people will be inspired to learn more about these tools. If I can help you, I'd love to help you. It's my deepest passion. Yeah, just stay open, stay experimental. This is the time for that. And thank you for being a leader and a risk taker these days. We need those pioneers.
For sure. For sure, we do. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. We covered a whole bunch of different topics, and I would really encourage you to go and check out those websites, the free resources, and learn more about how to be more of yourself and more aligned with yourself in your business. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll be back on the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of She Coaches Coaches. If this conversation resonated, take a moment to reflect on what stood out and how it connects to where you are right now. Coaching businesses grow through clarity and thoughtful choices, not pressure or hustle. If you'd like more support, you can learn more at stepintosuccessnow.com. I'll put the link in the episode notes. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with a peer or colleague who would enjoy it as well. I appreciate you being here. Have a great day.